Hi all, my name is Erica, aka ECR Horses 1901, and today's video is a grab bag of topics. We'll revisit some of the mystery horses I talked about in last week's antiques video, and I will show you some of my most recent buys, not just from the antique store. Finally, I just wanted to say a few words about Andrea Gurdon, but we will save that for the end of the video. So to start, we got our Breyerfest tickets, and wow, that was expensive. But you know I had to go VIP. I do have to keep reminding us that this is our trip for the year. Usually we go to New York City and see one or two musicals, and might do some shopping at designer stores. So this year is probably honestly going to cost about the same. It's just a little bit different. I think between the models my husband and I picked, I got all the horses that I wanted, plus an extra set of stablemates, which I will be more than happy to distribute the extras. We'll figure it out. I did spring for one surprise horse, so hopefully it'll be something good. I'd like to think that I'll be happy with whatever it is, but we're also going to talk about how that attitude did not work out for me earlier this year. Okay, so last week I did a video on the horses in my collection that I have gotten from antique stores over the years, and in that video I mentioned a few confusing models that I had come across. Well, viewer, we went back this past weekend and I have some answers, or at the very least, some pictures. First of all, a disclaimer that I just have a really bad memory. So some of the things I said about some of these models in the previous video didn't actually line up with reality. And that was not me being malicious or doing it on purpose. I just really have an awful memory. For example, I said there was a large pinto horse mislabeled as a Breyer, and that much is true. But I also said that he came with a saddle and also had a brushable mane and tail, and I don't know where I got that from because neither of those was the case. Well, he was still there. Let me bring up my picture of him. Yes, I still use paint, don't judge me. So upon closer inspection, which I clearly did not do well enough last time, this is a Marks brand model horse. Now, I have only heard of Marks horses in passing, namely as a section on the Triple Mountain website, but I did do some more sleuthing online. As best I can find, he appears to be this Storm Cloud the Indian horse. I can show you the side-by-side, there you go, and he is from the 1960s. He originally came with a saddle pad and some kind of mouthpiece, but as you can see here, this guy does not have the original accessories, just it looks like somebody made some kind of rope bridle for him. And actually his original tail is broken off and is sitting behind him on the shelf. He's in pretty rough condition even aside from that, and is priced at $28. Since I don't collect Marks, I'm not sure about going back to get him. It's one of those where I'm torn because I'm not sure how common it is to come across one of these guys in the wild. On the other hand, if you look, there are plenty of Marks models on eBay, maybe for a little bit more money, but often in better condition. Again, it might not really come through here. You can kind of see some of the scratches and whatnot, but yeah, I mean, he's really quite banged up. At least the question of what he is has been solved. Then there was the matter of the two horse and rider figures that it was suggested could be Heartland, and that appears to be correct. Here again, we have an instance of Erica's terrible memory, because these guys are actually behind a glass case, and as this is a very busy store, I have not actually gotten to handle these models yet or check for any type of marks. But honestly, I don't think I really need to. So yeah, here's a picture of the two. They're a kind of mixed up pair of the Lone Ranger and Tonto, except they appear to be on the wrong horses. So I believe that Tonto is supposed to go on the Pinto, and the Lone Ranger, of course, would be on Silver. But fun fact, this horse is also not the one that is pictured when you look up this pair. This is not Silver. This is a different Heartland horse, so I don't really know what's up with that. Furthermore, there should actually be leather straps through their mouths instead of these chains, so I'm guessing the leather straps just went missing at some point and somebody took it upon themselves to add these chains instead. As best I could tell, the pair are selling for $89 together, and once more, I'm not really sure that I want to be the person to spring for them. Maybe if they are around next time I go, I will ask to at least look at them, but it's probably not going to get further than that. The final horse was one I had forgotten about and didn't mention at all in my last video. And that was this guy, who I thought was a Breyer Western horse. Now again, as you can see, he's in real rough condition, was definitely somebody's toy, and especially if you compare him to my Palomino Western horse that I got at the same store and showed you last time. Now, I didn't do any further research on him while I was there, because I just figured he was too dinged up to add to my collection. Well, when I got home, I decided to look him up on Identifier Breyer just to kind of get a sense of what his age was, etc. And imagine my surprise when I quickly discovered that this is not a Breyer Western horse at all. The color of his saddle with the silver trimmings, I guess you could say, didn't match any of the tack on the white or alabaster models on the website. And I noticed that the tails were also different. Whereas the Western horse has a straight tail, you can see that this horse's is almost crimped. You know, certainly it's wavy. Now, Identifier Breyer states that this mold, well, not this mold, but the mold for the Western horse was adapted from Heartland's Large Champ. So I decided to look that up and see what I could find. And that led me to this Angelfire site, amazingly. Okay, here we go, and it shows you some of the differences between the Heartland Champ and the Breyer Western horse, including, as I just mentioned, the differences in the tail. So this was the only horse I've kind of gone back and forth with myself about returning to the store and getting. Again though, I hate to sound like a broken record, but he's in such rough shape that I'm not even sure he would be appropriate for a scratch and dent type of show. And although I do actually have one rare Heartland in my collection that I've never actually talked about and probably won't for a little while, just because I do plan to show him in an upcoming collectability class, this could be another one of those what else could that money go towards situations. Now that's not to say that I left the antique store empty-handed, because I did not. And that brings us to the second section of today's videos, recent purchases. We may as well start with the antique store finds. So the Arabian Mare and Foal that I mentioned last time were no longer there, but instead a different vendor had this alabaster Proud Arabian Stallion. So let me get him up here. Side one. Oh. Sorry, I am awful at this. And let's get side two. There we go. He appears to be from the 1970s. Other than being a little bit yellowed and with a little bit of overspray, yeah, you can see it there, under his right eye, I think he's in pretty good condition for his age. I also picked up this lovely Palomino grazing mare. Side one. Here we go. There she is. And she only has the Breyer Molding Company stamp on her leg, so I'm guessing she's from between 1961 and 1970 when the USA stamp was added. She does have more scratches and whatnot than the Arabian Stallion, but honestly her coloring's a little bit better. She hasn't yellowed as far as I can tell. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do as far as showing either of these horses is concerned, but they weren't too much money, so I had to pick them up. Region 10 had its Coco and Ponies swap meet back on Saturday, February 24th. I had a strict dollar amount in mind, and I am proud to say that I stayed right within that amount. I think I maybe was like a couple of dollars over, but I was right there. Very proud of me for that. I came armed with my wish list, which is literally, I don't have it here, but it is literally a printed out list of not just the names of the horses I want, but actual small icons, so I remember what they look like. And I've even written down the approximate price range that I am willing to spend for each of them. I've done my research here. In the end, I came away with one new traditional sized horse, one classic size foal, and a whole bunch of stablemates, which, let's not forget, I totally do not collect. My big purchase was this lovely glossy Benelli, who I know I keep saying I don't really care for draft horses, but as soon as I saw Benelli, I don't even remember when, I was like, I have got to have him. There were several Benellis at the swap meet, including a matte one and a different glossy one that was still in the box. But ultimately, I chose this guy who was just loose. The matte one actually had a few minor flaws, whereas this guy has none that I can see. And I thought there could be a small risk to buying the one that is still in the box because you never know what's happening on the side that you can't see. You know, whereas again, because this guy was just sitting out on a table, I could thoroughly inspect him. So yeah, he was my ultimate choice. The classic foal was a total impulse buy, and that was this black and white Pinto Musteno the foal, who was part of a Target set from 2006 to 2008. We haven't talked about the classic sized molds yet, and it will still probably be a while until we do. I'm not in a rush to jump back into tier ranking, not to mention I think I have to create that because I don't think anyone else has done a tier ranking of the classic models yet. But this is an example of a mold I find utterly ridiculous. Just kind of like Sea-Star, if you remember, like so awkward it's good. This was the first one I had come across in person, so the price was right. I said, yeah, let's take them. As far as stablemates go, there were 2 I purchased and a whole bunch I got simply because I was in the right place at the right time. I will tell you all about that when we get there. The first purchase was this glossy shaded bay on the Warm Blood mold, who was part of a 2002 QVC set. I enjoy getting Briars from all the different retailers that they've sold through, so as soon as I heard QVC, I pretty much threw my money down. I have one other QVC horse, I'm not gonna go grab him. But yeah, so I was pretty happy about getting another one. I like the models that they sold through QVC, so sue me. I combed through literally 6 different nearly identical models to eventually choose this guy. A charcoal gray fighting stallion from the 70th anniversary mystery horse blind bags. I mostly just got him because he's on the Fighting Stallion mold, and you know that's one of my favorites. So that was it as far as purchases, but not it as far as horses that I walked away with. So let me explain. So somewhere in the venue, there's always a table for free stuff, and I'm guessing this is probably pretty usual for other swap meets, I would think. I am never one to pass that up. I will grab whatever I can from this table, just because, maybe it's because I work at a college, so I'm used to being around students who are willing to pick up just about anything if it's free. So this time, the free table was actually back in the little alcove that is near the bathrooms. And so I had already done my shopping, I had my bag packed, you know, everyone was wrapped in bubble wrap, we were ready to go. It was about a little over an hour drive between the venue and our house, so I had to stop at the women's room before we left. So I didn't actually even notice the free table until I came back out. Combing through the different things that were there were some old Breyer holiday catalogs and whatnot, and I am totally up for looking through those. So as I was kind of flipping through the different options that were on the table, one of the sellers stopped by and dropped a bunch of individually wrapped stablemates on the table and walks away. Now, this appeared to be done on purpose. They went immediately back off to the main floor. This was somebody, too, that I had, you know, talked to a little bit while I was there. But just, it was not like they, you know, put them down as if they were just putting them there when they were going in to use the women's room, like, as a temporary thing. Like, it appeared to be a deliberate action. So, I saw these stablemates get put on the table, and, you know, I quickly looked them over, and I didn't really see anything that appeared to be amiss about them, although honestly I probably would have grabbed some anyway. So, I took the ones that appealed to me. And I did wait, before I got too excited, I did wait to see if there were any messages about, hey, did anyone catch stablemates that I accidentally put on the free table? And that never happened, so again, I do believe that these were meant to be there. Once I got home and sorted through the ones that I had picked up, they are all in perfect show quality condition as far as I can tell. So I am so glad to have been standing by the table when I was. So I walked away with a Rococo. Sorry, I don't... My camera is just doing an awful job of picking these guys up today. Rococo, who it is... Alright, well, it's hard to see, but Rococo is a pearly rose gold frame Overo on the Smart Chick Olina mold, who was from 2021 Breyerfest. Then we had two horses from the 2022 Merry and Bright blind bag, and I think both of these are super cool. We have the metallic splash Pinto on the Mirado mold, and a metallic Tobiano Pinto on the Irish Draft mold. They are both nice and color shifty, which I really adore. That is a particular weakness of mine, especially on the stablemate size. Then we've got Guinevere, who is from the 2019 Stablemate Collectors Club, and she is a glossy Palomino Morgan. Finally, we have Lacritz, who was a 2022 Breyerfest single day ticket model, a glossy dapple gray who is, again, really well shaded. I know my camera is not being great today, but he is on the Hanoverian mold. So that was my haul from the swap meet. Could not be happier with what I got. Finally, a while back, I made a purchase directly from Breyer. I got myself two of the 2024 models. So, maybe a bit of a surprise, maybe not for my commentary, but I got myself a Norwich, who I am absolutely in love with. I take back everything that I ever said that was negative about the Hackney model. You hear it here first. And I also took a chance on one of the Elemental models. So, if you remember, hold on, let me put him away. Yeah, so if you remember from my 2024 models video, I was so sure that I was going to be fine with getting one of the blind models because I'll be happy with any of the ones they send me. Famous last words. I ended up getting Iridium. So here, he's the silver one in case you forgot. Again, sorry for the awful quality today. But as you can maybe guess from the fact that he is still in the box, which is rarely something I do except for some, you know, where collectability is a factor. Yeah, I don't really care for him. The metallic coat is a little different than I pictured it being based on the photos that were on the website. And it's the type of thing I could not have really known just going by the website alone. So, unfortunately for Iridium, he's gonna stay in the box, and he's gonna go on the short list of horses that I do plan to sell or trade. I know I have some Region 10 viewers that are in the audience, and so if you're interested in seeing what my few horses are that I'm going to have to sell or trade, I will probably have those up on my table at the show that is coming up later this March. So yeah, Iridium aside, I am super thrilled with my recent buys, and I do look forward to showing a lot of these guys soon. The show that I have coming up in March is the Southern New England Winter Roundup. I will be competing in Novice since this is technically my first actual live show, and I've already been prepping for it because I have to do documentation for pretty much everybody, very often in collectability and breed, so yeah, there may very well be some content about all of that process coming soon. And so the last thing that I wanted to touch on today might feel a bit out of left field, but I just wanted to say a few words about the passing of Andrea Gurdon. Admittedly, I had not heard about her or her blog, Breyer History Diva, until news came out about her following her passing. But boy, having now watched her video that she created for 2021 Breyer Fest on the theme of horses of a different color, which Breyer reposted on their blog, and having started to read through just a tiny portion of the many blog entries that she had been writing since 2009, I can confidently say that she is someone that I wish I had gotten a chance to know. Even if that was just to say hi at Breyer Fest and thank you for your work. Because her depth and breadth of knowledge about all things related to Breyer models is honestly amazing. I sincerely hope that her blog is being archived or otherwise preserved in some concrete form, because it's truly too much valuable information to lose. And as someone who cares about history in general, and you know, because I am very interested in collectability, much more so than breed when it comes to showing, I just find having that knowledge to be so cool, and you know, the number of random and varied sources that she had access to be really astounding and just really such a gift. And the fact that she wrote up this blog for so many years, again, it's out there for free right now. It's so worth reading. It is just so endlessly fascinating. I have been learning so much, and again, my only regret is that I had not known about her and her work. So that's all for this time. Maybe next week I'll catch you up on how NaMoPaMo went, because I did finish. I finished my horse, but as I mentioned last time, it was, there's a story there, and I am not an artist, and I don't think I'm ever going to be. Although, I probably will attempt to customize more, but yeah. So until then, have a great week, and I will see you next time.